will Russia, or will Putin's regime, annex Ukraine? I think it's pretty certain that the Donbass region, that's Donetsk and Lugansk, they will definitely, I would say it's 90% certain that they will be Russian territory at the end of this war. How much of eastern Ukraine will be annexed into Russia, we don't know, but it seems pretty certain that those regions will go, and any other regions that have a significant population of ethnic Russians will more than likely be submerged into the Russian Empire. You only have to, it's pretty clear now that obviously Zelensky is going to be gone very shortly. Ukraine will fall, no question about it. He's sending hundreds of thousands of troops and military equipment and so forth, and cruise missiles and everything into Ukraine, and it will undoubtedly fall very quickly. You only have to read Putin's. He wrote an article last year about how he thinks that the Belarus, Ukraine and Russian people are a triune people with a shared ancestry and a shared history and so forth, and that really, I think Putin definitely does feel like Ukraine is essentially Russian land. That's not to say that he doesn't have legitimate reasons that have nothing to do with whether Ukraine is technically a part of Russia or is not, historically, because of course his goals are not just to defend the Donbass and defend the Russians in there. That's part of it. The main reason is to in my opinion, is to get rid of the NATO-aligned Zelensky government, to demilitarize Ukraine, to take out all of its, air defences, to cripple it completely, and to cripple its military, and to get a pro-Russian government back in the helm at Ukraine, in Kiev, basically. That's what they ultimately want. The last time they had a pro-Russian government, we know what happened. We had the Euromaidan disaster, the protests, and then we had what some believe constituted a coup, where America basically supported the taking over of the Ukraine government with a pro-NATO aligned regime since 2014, and so basically Ukraine, he wants to make Ukraine pro-Russian in terms of their political organisation, essentially, instead of it being aligned with NATO, which will obviously mean that you would have right on his doorstep, you would have potentially NATO military bases, which is, as I've said, a hostile organisation to Russia, and so he was never going to tolerate that. So the West have massively contributed to this totally illegal invasion and completely immoral invasion, and I don't think those things justify it at all. I'm against war, especially this war, just like I was against the Iraq war and the Afghanistan war and bombing Libya, and even though I was only a small boy, I would have been against bombing Yugoslavia. But fundamentally, because I do believe that there are wars that are justified, such as World War II, to fight Hitler, or to do a preemptive strike if you had absolute knowledge that you was going to be attacked, or if you was attacked, in self-defense. But none of these wars justify any of that. These are wars of aggression. But Putin does have some legitimate reasons for why he would want to do this, but ultimately I don't accept that a war is the right thing to do. It has to be a diplomatic solution. Ukraine must be a neutral state, essentially. Now, what this is going to do is, though, unfortunately, it does seem as though more Eastern European and Scandinavian states are going to become more involved in NATO. It's going to push them to NATO. Now, but Ukraine will not be within NATO, which is what was probably going to happen eventually, seeing as they've been on this like partner thing since 2008. So he wants to obviously demilitarize and take out the Ukraine's allegiance to NATO and America on its doorstep. He wants to get rid of that and install his own pro-Russian puppet, and that's fundamentally, I believe, why he's invaded, because he felt as though it was just, now was the time to strike, just after COVID, and the so ultimately, with Belarus now entering, who knows now what is actually going to happen.